Welcome to Miss Scarlett. Subscribe and don't miss out on Patreon. Have fun! As she approached the mirror, Samantha observed her weary reflection, exhaustion etching itself deeper into familiar lines. Each night, sleep became a distant memory. With a steady determination, she withdrew an inconspicuous prescription bottle, its bright orange hue contrasting against the shadowed sanctuary of her sock drawer. Stifling her doubts, she seized the moment. Grasping the minuscule blue pill between her roughened thumb and forefinger, she pondered the enormity of its promise. In a swift motion, she swallowed it, the mundane act of drinking water becoming a ritual. Today marked the beginning of a path, uncertain and undefined. But with one certainty, remaining stagnant was no longer an option. Just for me. It had taken 32 years, countless therapy sessions, and a lifetime of discomfort for Armani Cooper to reach this moment. The depression had become a faithful companion through the decades, a constant shadow that no amount of achievement or distraction could fully banish. Armani straightened the navy tie and adjusted the collar of the crisp white button-down shirt. The corporate uniform felt like a costume, it always had, but appearances mattered to the Cooper family, especially to Dad, whose conservative values were as immovable as the mountains surrounding their hometown.
"You'll grow out of these feelings,"
Dad had said the one and only time Armani had tried to explain the persistent sense of wrongness.
"Everyone questions themselves sometimes."
But 32 years of questioning seemed excessive, even to Armani. The morning routine continued. Breakfast alone in the apartment, the commute to the financial firm, the polite nods to colleagues, the endless spreadsheets that at least provided the distraction of complex problems to solve. The day passed in a blur of meetings and calculations, with the secret knowledge of the blue pill creating a small, warm center of hope. Days turned into weeks. The pills remained hidden in the sock drawer, a daily ritual performed in private. Small changes began to appear, subtle shifts in skin texture, the faintest softening around the cheeks, a redistribution of weight that made tailored suits fit differently. Nothing dramatic enough for others to notice, but Armani saw every minute change with the hyper-awareness of someone finally watching their true self emerge. 2 months into hormone replacement therapy, the navy suits and stark white shirts began to feel increasingly wrong, like wearing clothes meant for someone else, which, in many ways, they were. The weekend shopping trip wasn't planned. A simple errand downtown led past a boutique with a display that caught Armani's attention. The sundress was nothing fancy, a simple cut in a soft lavender fabric, but something about it felt right in a way the navy suits never had.
"May I help you find something?"
The sales associate's voice was kind, without judgment.
"I'm just looking."
The standard response of someone afraid to admit what they really wanted. "Take your time." She smiled and moved away, leaving Armani alone with possibilities. An hour later, walking out with a discreet shopping bag containing not the lavender sundress, but a simple blue blouse and black pants that could pass as either masculine or feminine, depending on styling. Small steps. The bag felt both heavy with significance and light with potential. That night, alone in the apartment, Armani tried on the new clothes. The mirror reflected someone both familiar and strange. The blue blouse softened the angular shoulders, complemented the increasingly smooth skin. For the first time in memory, the reflection didn't feel completely wrong. 3 months turned into 4. The changes continued, subtle but meaningful. Body hair thinned, facial features softened further, and emotional responses shifted in unexpected ways. Tears came more readily over small kindnesses or beautiful moments, while the heavy blanket of depression that had smothered so much of life began to lift. "You seem different lately," remarked Thomas, a colleague who occasionally joined Armani for lunch. "More relaxed somehow." "New meditation practice," Armani lied, stirring the coffee absently. "Helping with stress." Thomas nodded, satisfied with the explanation. "Whatever it is, it's working. You don't look like you're carrying the weight of the world anymore." If only he knew that what was being shed was not just stress, but an entire ill-fitting identity. At the 5-month mark, Armani opened a new email account under the name Mila. The name had appeared in dreams for years, a whisper of possibility, a future self waiting to be acknowledged. Mila began ordering clothes online, building a hidden wardrobe in the back of the closet behind the navy suits and dress shoes. The first complete feminine outfit arrived in a discreet package, a knee-length emerald dress with long sleeves and a modest neckline. Classic, elegant, nothing flashy. Mila's hands trembled while opening the package, heart pounding with equal parts excitement and terror. The emerald fabric slid cool and smooth over increasingly curved hips. The mirror reflected auburn hair, now grown past the ears, in what could still pass as a slightly shaggy masculine cut, but framed the softening face in a way that hinted at femininity. Something settled into place. The persistent wrongness that had accompanied every glance in the mirror for decades shifted, not completely right yet, but moving in that direction. Progress. That night, Mila took the first photo. Standing in the emerald dress, face still showing traces of Armani, but with hints of someone new emerging. Not quite ready to smile, but standing straighter than Armani ever had. The photo went into a password-protected folder labeled Journey. The 6-month mark arrived on a Friday. Mila celebrated by ordering a complete wardrobe, skirts, blouses, jeans cut for women, sundresses in pastel colors, and a second emerald dress, this one for evening wear with a slightly more dramatic cut. The purchases felt both terrifying and exhilarating. Looking at the monthly progression photos revealed changes that daily observation had missed. The auburn hair now curled softly around a face that strangers had started to glance at twice, trying to categorize. The body under the increasingly ill-fitting men's clothes had developed subtle curves. The emerald dress fit better now, highlighting changes rather than hiding them. "Who do you belong to?" Mila whispered to the reflection, still caught between worlds, between identities. Not quite Armani anymore. Not fully Mila yet. The phone call from Dad came on an ordinary Tuesday evening.
"Your mother and I are coming to the city next weekend. Thought we'd take you to dinner at Morton's. Your favorite."
Panic flooded Mila's system. 6.5 months of HRT had created changes that careful clothing choices and limited social interactions had managed to disguise or explain away, but parents saw with different eyes, noticed things others might miss. "I'm actually swamped with the Henderson account," Mila lied, voice carefully modulated to match Armani's deeper tones. "Rain check?" A pause. "You've been raining out our checks for months now, son. Your mother is worried." The word son landed like a physical blow. Mila closed her eyes, fighting the wave of wrongness it triggered. "I'll come home for a weekend soon. Promise. Just need to get through this busy period." Another pause. "All right, but soon means soon, Armani. Not another 3 months." Understood. The call ended, leaving Mila staring at the phone, heart pounding. Time was running out on the double life. Sooner or later, choices would need to be made. Truths revealed. That weekend, Mila ventured out as herself for the first time. Not far, just to a coffee shop in a neighborhood across town where recognition was unlikely. Hair styled in a feminine cut, light makeup applied with hours of YouTube tutorials as guidance, and the emerald day dress with a cardigan. The barista smiled. "What can I get for you, miss?" Miss. The word rang like a bell of truth. "Vanilla latte, please." "Name for the order?" A moment of truth.
Mila.
The name on the cup, written in purple marker. Mila. Evidence that someone else saw her, recognized her existence. The coffee tasted better than any Armani had ever ordered. 7 months became 8. The corporate world of finance continued to know Armani, though colleagues increasingly commented on the weight loss, the softer features, the growing hair explained away as trying something new. But evenings and weekends belonged to Mila. The apartment transformed when the door closed. Feminine clothes replaced the costume of masculinity, auburn hair freed from the styling products that kept it controlled during work hours, makeup experiments that grew more confident with practice. The depression that had been a constant companion for decades continued to recede. In its place grew something new, a sense of possibility, of future, of authentic existence. The blue pills in the sock drawer were joined by additional medications, all working together to align body with soul. 9 months in, the Henderson account provided both challenge and opportunity. The client, based in San Francisco, requested the financial team work on site for 2 weeks. "Perfect opportunity for you," Thomas remarked as they prepared for the trip.
You've been carrying this account for months. Time to get the recognition you deserve.
But Mila saw different potential. 2 weeks away from the everyday environment meant 2 weeks to live authentically, without the constant fear of recognition. The hotel in San Francisco became a sanctuary. During work hours, Armani still appeared, though the version that colleagues saw was increasingly androgynous despite best efforts. But evenings in the vibrant city belonged entirely to Mila. She walked through neighborhoods where diversity was celebrated rather than hidden, bought coffee and received "Miss" and "Ma'am" without second glances, discovered small boutiques with clothes that celebrated her emerging figure rather than disguising it. The emerald evening gown made its first public appearance at a small jazz club recommended by the hotel concierge. The pianist nodded appreciatively as Mila took a seat near the stage. Auburn hair styled in loose waves, makeup subtle but intentional. "First time in San Francisco?" asked the server, placing a glass of white wine on the table. "First time as myself," Mila answered honestly. The server's knowing smile suggested understanding beyond the words. "Welcome home, then." Home. The concept had always been nebulous. The Cooper family house had been a place of residence, but never truly home. The apartment served its function, but felt temporary. But this, existing as her authentic self, this felt like coming home to the person she was always meant to be. The 2 weeks passed too quickly. Each night, Mila added photos to the journey folder, smiling now, standing tall in the emerald gown, or casual in jeans and blouses that flattered her increasingly feminine figure. The auburn hair caught the California sunshine, developing rich highlights that framed a face growing more comfortable in its own expression. Return to reality hit hard. The apartment felt smaller somehow, the navy suits hanging in the closet like ghosts of a life growing more distant by the day. The corporate environment felt suffocating after the freedom of San Francisco evenings.
"You look great,"
Thomas commented during the first day back. California sunshine agrees with you. If only he knew it wasn't the sunshine, but the freedom that had created the glow. 10 months into the journey, the inevitable confrontation arrived in the form of an unexpected visit. Mila had just returned from a Saturday spent entirely as herself, hairstyled, wearing a pale blue sundress with a white cardigan, when a knock came at the apartment door. Through the peephole, Dad's stern face, Mom's worried expression, panic. No time to change, to become Armani again. No way to erase the makeup, to hide the physical changes, to explain the feminine clothes. A choice. Hide forever or step into truth. Deep breath. Hand on the doorknob. Another breath. The door opened. Silence stretched between them, heavy with decades of expectations and months of changes.
Armani?
Mom's voice wavered, confusion evident. Not anymore. The words emerged with surprising steadiness. My name is Mila. Dad's face hardened, eyes taking in the sundress, the makeup, the styled auburn hair. What is this? Some kind of joke? No joke. This is me. The real me. They moved inside, the apartment suddenly too small for the emotions filling it. Mom kept looking with bewildered eyes, while Dad's expression shuttered closed.
How long has this been going on?
Dad demanded.
The hormones. 10 months. But the feeling that I was in the wrong body? My whole life.
You never said anything. Mom's voice held hurt rather than anger.
I tried once. I was told it was a phase I'd grow out of.
Dad flinched slightly, recognition flickering across his face. What followed wasn't easy. Explanations stumbled over years of silence. Questions revealed the depth of their confusion and Mila's long journey toward self-discovery. Tears fell. Mom's from shock, Dad's carefully hidden behind stoic expression. Mila's from finally being seen, however painfully.
I don't understand this,
Dad finally said, voice gruff with suppressed emotion. I don't know if I can. I'm not asking you to understand immediately, Mila replied. Just to try, and to see that I'm happier now than I've ever been. Mom reached out hesitantly, touching Mila's auburn hair. It's beautiful, she whispered. You always did have my color. A small opening. Not acceptance yet, but possibility. They left with promises to talk more, to process, to learn. Dad's handshake was stiff, but present. Mom's hug lingered, her whispered, I love you, offering a lifeline across the chasm of change. Alone again, Mila sank onto the couch, emotionally drained, but somehow lighter. The truth, finally spoken aloud to the people whose opinion had shaped so much of life, hung in the apartment like a new presence. Terrifying, but freeing. The following week brought change at work as well. The meeting with HR had been scheduled for weeks, carefully planned with the help of a therapist specializing in transition support. I appreciate your time, Mila began, sitting across from Patricia, the head of human resources, and Marcus, the department director. What I'm about to share is deeply personal, but will affect my professional presence here. Understanding dawned in Patricia's eyes before the explanation was complete. Her nod encouraged continuation. I've been undergoing hormone replacement therapy for nearly a year now, Mila explained, hands steady on the folder containing medical documentation and legal name change papers. I'm transitioning from male to female, and I'd like to begin presenting as my authentic self at work. Marcus looked startled, but quickly composed his expression.
This is unexpected.
For me as well, in many ways, Mila acknowledged with a small smile. Though in others, it's been a lifetime coming. The conversation proceeded better than anticipated. Company policies were consulted, accommodations discussed, timelines established. Patricia's professional compassion created space for questions and concerns to be addressed without judgment. We'll send a brief, appropriate email to your department before your return as Mila, Patricia confirmed. Nothing detailed, just the essential information they need to respond respectfully. Thank you. The words felt inadequate for the relief they brought. The weekend before the official workplace transition, Mila stood before the mirror in the emerald evening gown, the first piece of truly feminine clothing she had purchased for herself. 10 months of physical changes had transformed how it fit, how it highlighted curves that hadn't existed before, how it complemented the auburn hair now styled in a distinctly feminine cut. The journey folder received a new photo. The contrast between the first image and this one told a story of emergence, of butterfly from chrysalis, of truth from hiding. Monday morning arrived with both terror and anticipation. The Navy suits had been donated, replaced by a professional wardrobe befitting Mila Cooper, financial analyst. For her first day, she chose a knee-length black skirt, emerald blouse that complemented both her coloring and the significance of her journey, and low heels that had required weeks of practice to walk in confidently. The elevator ride to the office floor stretched eternally. The gentle ping announcing arrival came too soon and not soon enough. Deep breath, shoulders back. Another breath. The office fell momentarily quiet as Mila walked to her desk. Eyes followed, expressions ranging from surprise to confusion to the blessed relief of simple acceptance. Thomas was the first to approach, coffee cup in hand as always.
"Good morning," he said, voice carefully casual. "Can I get you a coffee? Still take it with 2 sugars.
The normalcy of the question, the continuity it represented amid such change, brought unexpected emotion. Yes, thank you. Some things haven't changed. His smile was genuine, and some things, apparently, needed to. You look right somehow, more yourself. The assessment was perfect in its simplicity. More herself. Exactly that. The day proceeded with a mix of awkward moments and surprising grace. Questions came, some appropriate, some less so. Mila answered what she could, gently deflected what felt too personal, and discovered colleagues more adaptable than feared. Months passed, seasons changed. The corporate environment adjusted to Mila's presence, the initial curiosity fading into workplace normalcy. The emerald blouse became a regular in her rotation, a quiet acknowledgement of the journey. 1 year into hormone replacement therapy, Mila created a special entry in the journey folder, side-by-side photos, before and after, Armani in navy suit and tie, expression flat despite the attempted smile. Mila in the emerald evening gown, auburn hair framing a face alight with genuine happiness. The physical changes were significant. Softer features, redistributed weight, feminine curves, but the most striking difference lay in the eyes. Armani's held resignation, a dullness that spoke of depression's heavy hand. Mila's shone with something long absent, hope. The depression that had been a constant companion through decades hadn't disappeared entirely. Some days still brought its shadow, but its power had diminished, its hold weakened by authenticity. The blue pills in the sock drawer, now moved to the medicine cabinet, no longer hidden, hadn't just changed a body, they had freed a spirit. The second family dinner went better than the first. Mom had made efforts, researching, joining a parents' support group, learning new terminology and perspectives. Dad remained more reserved, but had shifted from open resistance to quiet observation. They still stumbled over pronouns occasionally, still called her Armani when surprised or emotional, but they were trying.
You do look happy,
Dad acknowledged over dessert, the admission clearly difficult, but genuine.
Happier than I can remember seeing you.
I am, Mila confirmed. For the first time, I'm living as myself, not as who I thought I needed to be for everyone else. Dad nodded slowly. Your grandfather used to say that the hardest thing in life is figuring out who you really are.
Seems you've done that, just not in any way we expected.
Not full acceptance yet, but a beginning. 18 months into the journey, Mila moved to a new apartment. The old one held too many memories of transition, of hiding, of division between public and private selves. The new space, filled with natural light and views of the park, became her fresh start. The emerald evening gown hung prominently in the new closet, a reminder of beginnings amid all the endings and new starts. The journey folder continued to grow, documenting not just physical changes, but life experiences. Mila at professional conferences, at family gatherings, with new friends who had only ever known her as herself. 2 years to the day after taking the first blue pill, Mila stood before the mirror in the emerald evening gown. The auburn hair now fell in soft waves past her shoulders, framing a face that felt wholly her own. The body beneath the elegant fabric had transformed through medicine, through time, through alignment of external with internal truth. There you are, she whispered to her reflection. Not a question anymore, a recognition. The depression that had once defined existence had receded to occasional visits rather than permanent residence. In its place grew confidence, authenticity, and the emotional stability that comes from living honestly. The journey wasn't over. Transition wasn't a destination, but a process, with continued challenges and discoveries ahead. But standing there, 2 years from the day when a trembling hand had reached for that first blue pill, Mila knew one thing with absolute certainty. She had found herself, and she would never go back to hiding again. The sock drawer now held only socks, its secret purpose fulfilled. The blue pills resided openly in the medicine cabinet, daily companions on a continuing journey. The emerald gown would eventually be joined by others for different occasions, different milestones. But that first dress, and the decision it represented, would always hold special significance. The moment when the reflection in the mirror finally began to match the person Mila had always known herself to be.
Thanks for watching, my girlies! Be sure to check out Patreon for more!